Hello, FewCandy here, and welcome back to another episode of Cities Skylines. And last time out, we finished off this entire side of the downtown. So we put in this little school park here, which I think turned out pretty cute, actually, with a football club. We did hide a little recycling centre underneath the highway there as well. I know someone commented on that. We doubled up our high schools, doubled up our elementary schools, just to make sure we're providing enough education for all of the citizens of this side of the downtown. And everything seems to be flowing really nicely, actually, all the traffic through here. Lots more people using the ring road as well now, as we wanted, sending different routes for all of the traffic around this area, which is nice. We finished off this little residential neighbourhood and a few hotels down here, added in this little resort here with a few swimming pools and the such like, the usual hotel detailing that I keep putting into Auridon. And I think the residential complex here with the nice park in the middle of it and lots of green oak trees turned out pretty nice. And then of course as well we did finish off our waterfront down this side with our kind of rundown industrial vibes build here. Little bit of waterfront leisure as well to accompany it, but kind of looking like a bit of an out of a town commercial centre or industrial hub here with the old cinema in it too, and then a few more residential buildings down that side. But all in all, I think the downtown is filling out, and that is that side now complete, so I'm liking how it's turned out, and I think we get this nice gradual crawl in height up to the downtown from here as well. I think it is playing out nicely. Now today we do need to turn our attention over to this side. There is still a lot more building that needs to be done over here, and in particular I'm going to pay attention to this waterfront out here where we've got our canals. And so today what we are going to do is build Auridon its own version of Silicon Valley, essentially. Well, that's what we're going to try and do anyway. So to start off with today, we're going to have a little trip to Google Earth, and here we are in Silicon Valley. And in particular, what I'm interested in here is Googleplex, or this complex here, which is Google's headquarters in San Francisco. And this is what we're going to take inspiration from today. So there is a lot of intertwining buildings here with parks in between it, some kind of fancy statues going on. Lots and lots of walkways with paths and this kind of fancy park out here as well I want to take a look at, which is tiered down, which is quite interesting. But lots of pathways running through it with tiny little steps in the middle as well. We'll see what we can do to recreate something for Auridon similar to that. A little, looks like a pickup truck there in that one. But yeah, what I want to take inspiration from is these kind of bendy car parks all the way around, little bits of car parking, a bit more over here with shelters on, which we won't do for Auridon, but we can definitely do parking all around it. But lots of trees and green spaces all around these buildings. And we also have this little complex over here as well, which I do want to take a bit of inspiration from because I love how this car park flows around it. Little planters in between a few different car parking spaces there. Little circular green gardens and a little plaza in the middle as well. I think we can do something like that in Auridon. So this is really what we're going to be taking inspiration from today. So there's going to be a bit of building merging, some kind of interpretive use of assets here as well to get this in. But I think we can come up with something quite nice on our waterfront. So back in Auridon, the first thing that I do want to do is lay out our main road network here. Now we do have this tram line that comes in from the downtown central transport hub here, which I'd definitely like to hook a line into. So what we will do is just bring it straight across the canal network here. And let's snap to angle and not to grid or road guidelines, just so we get this across super straight. Then we're going to bring this down all the way to the waterfront, and we will make a nice bend here, but for now we'll just bring it across straight. And we are going to run it literally straight across the front here, like this, and then bend it round to meet the main collector over here. So we'll actually just bring the road straight out here so we make sure we get that angle right, and then what we'll do is produce a nice curvy bend to join up these roads here. So we want road guidelines back on for that. And then snap that in to produce a nice curve there. Now let's just sort out this corner before we move on. So we'll just delete those two back there. Let's get our tram road with our bike lanes on it again. And we'll just produce a nice corner there so it's a little bit less sharp going around that bend. And that then gives us a reasonably nice road layout. But what I do want to do is make sure all these bridges are consistent. So I'm just going to go ahead and tidy them up. Okay, so next step is to add in the buildings that we want here. And what I do want as the front and centre is actually this School of Engineering. So because we've already placed one in the downtown here, we are going to use Move It just to copy it so that we can place another one in here really nicely. So I'm just going to grab that with Move It. And what we will do for the moment is just place it up front and centre in front of this road here, which I think gives a nice entranceway into our Auridonplex, or whatever it's going to be called. Our version of Googleplex here in Auridon. So I think that gives a nice front and centre to it. It's a super modern building, nice walkways all the way through it, lots of white and glass, and looks kind of technology-like, so that's why we want to feature that here. And then the other building that I do want to use here is actually the School of Economics from the Liberal Arts campus, which is not one that we've placed in yet. So in order to get it in, we are going to have to extend our liberal arts campus from over here down this way. So let's just do that. And actually, we're lucky enough to not have anything in the way there. So we'll just do that for now and create a little bubble over here. And then we can cut off our little extension. I don't know why that's all overlapping there. I need to go through and sort out that district area. Tidy it up a little bit. But we can do that another time. So for now, that will do. What I do need is a tiny bit of road in there in order to place it in against it. So let's just grab our one unit road for now. And I'm just going to really crudely place that in here just so we can get building in. And then we can place in our School of Economics. Now, what I want to do with this is actually use these canals to kind of create some nice building effects. Now, I've just noticed that this road is not straight, so I'm going to go ahead and correct that. Okay, so that is better. So now what we can do with the School of Economics is, and the land is really glitching out here. What I want to do is line it up with the centre of this School of Engineering building, but overhang this circular end to it over the canal this way. So it creates quite a nice little kind of in the water part of the building, which I think just looks really, really cool like that. And we can use Bob to get rid of all these props around here. So let's just make sure that that is right in the middle of the School of Engineering, which it looks like it is. And then, yeah, let's use Bob to remove all of these trees and different bits off the back. So we'll remove all of the alders, all of the bushes, and then what we want to do is find the planters, which I think, yeah, are these ones. So let's remove all of those and those ones. And then again, we need to remove the bushes from the second part of the building here as well. Those are all gone. And we do also have benches and street lights. And I think that is everything that we need to remove from these back parts. Yeah. So now we've got this building overhanging the canal like that, which I just really like the effect of. It looks like it's built over it, into it, which I think kind of adds a little bit of a break up to some of these straight lines within the canals as well. That's what we want to do with a couple of different buildings here. So we can delete out this little road marking for the moment because we're going to build in our own road network all around the complex. And then have a look at some of the other buildings that I also want to include here. So the Robotics Institute is one of them. Let's just place that in there, and then what we will do is move this up kind of ish to a centre point here. I want to leave a little bit of a gap in between these two buildings, so we'll put it about there for now, and then we can always adjust it later. And then the other building as well from the Japanese Content Creator Pack is the research centre that I want to use. So let's plop one of those down. Now, I have actually already recoded this into residential because we desperately need residential. And also, I don't think our budget can handle any more unique buildings. It's really up and down. I had to leave it running for a long time in order for the money to build back up again. So we want to avoid that at all costs. But what we can do with this is a similar thing to what we did with the School of Economics. So I'm actually going to overhang this over the river like this, over the canal even like this. So we've got those two pillars, look like they're digging into the canal there, and we can put some blocks underneath them in the detail and time lapse so they actually reach, because at the moment there is a tiny little gap there. But we will block that out so they are stable and actually looking like they're going down to the ground. And then what I'd like to do with the Robotics Institute is just merge this into the end of this building so it looks like it is attached, because it merges quite nicely. We can align those windows either side there, so they're super nice. Then we just need to do a little bit of bobbing of the trees on this one. So let's again grab Bob, and we can go in and find our bushes and remove them, and also those Douglas firs as well, and remove all of those. We've got a nice clean slate to work with underneath. But I think all in all, that building looks pretty cool like that over the canal. So again, just breaking up some of this square infrastructure that we've got going on down here. And what I'd actually like to do with this as well is copy it and do a bit of a kind of star formation like we saw on Google Earth with those interesting buildings next to the Googleplex. So I'm just going to pop one in like that, and we are going to want to bob off the car parking spaces of this as well, which we'll come to in the detail and time lapse a little bit later on. If we put them all down like that, so we've got the entrances facing each other, then what we get is this nice kind of, star effect here in this little area. And we'll come in and fill this out with some of those nice flowy car parking designs that we saw around the building on Google Earth as well, just to fill that out. And then the building that I'd actually like to use as a centerpiece here is also from the Japanese... Oh, I take that back. Sorry, these are from the high-tech content creator pack, not the Japanese one. My mistake. And so the other building that I'd like to use here is also from the high-tech content creator pack, and that is this star style building, which I think makes quite a nice centerpiece for the middle of our campus here. Again, what we'll want to do is bob off those car parking spaces, which is nice and straightforward. Just need to grab those in bob and remove all of them, just like that. And we'll do the rest, obviously, in the detail and time lapse too. But what that gives us is this nice, interestingly shaped building right in the middle of our complex here, which I think, gives a nice kind of centerpiece to it. And then what we want to do is place some buildings all around it to fill it out and leave some space for some nice gardens and park work, exactly like we saw on Google Earth. So I'm just going to go ahead and place in some more buildings and some office assets around here in a little time lapse, and I'll be right back. so there we go. So we have just come in and put a couple more trade school assets in here, a media lab, a laboratories and a cafeteria, and then loop this road network all throughout the complex. So we've just got car parking lot spaces on the sides of the roads using parking lot roads, which loops all the way through round underneath this bridge here out in front of the buildings and all the way round to a couple of additional car parks around the side there. So I think that brings that all together quite nicely. And we have also added in a few commercial assets on the end here. Just thinking, like, you know, at Google they've got their own gym and places to eat, laundromat, all that kind of facility. So I just thought this was a nice little touch merged into the side of this main building here. I think that worked quite well. And then over this side I have just used some of the West Coast Office Pack assets here to try and create a kind of funky-ish looking building. Just thinking because it's quite an odd shaped building that we could maybe say that some architect has designed it for a big tech company. That sort of thing. That's the type of vibe that I was going for here. And then just put a little industrial asset out the front actually as main entrances to all of these buildings. Now I have recoded all of these into residential. So these are big residential complexes now with quite a few houses in them. And then over here we've just put the nanotechnology centre and yeah, a little road all the way around the outside. We've left that as a unique building so that will attract tourists down that end. Little road maintenance depot there, which I thought was a nice feature just in front of this residential block here. But yeah, that's kind of it for the main buildings of our tech centre, Googleplex rip-off. And we've got loads of people moving in, which is nice to see. I have recoded off a couple of these buildings as well into residential and kept some of them as campus buildings and this one as a unique in the middle. So we'll attract all different types of traffic to this area, which I think will be good to see. A lot of people moving around for different reasons. But what we do want to think about next is bringing in some public transit. So we do have our tram route coming in here, which we can definitely utilise, but we also actually have a spare metro line that I would like to bring down into this area. So looking over at our transport hub here, we've got this metro line coming out this way, which I would like to bring round, service whatever's going to go in this area, potentially another stop here, and down into our makeshift Googleplex. So what we will do is just grab the metro line here and bring out a straight connection, just like that. And then we will proceed to bend this around. And I think we're going to go in quite a large loop for this. So we'll just circle it round like that and then bring it into a station here. And now what I'm thinking actually is that we can use one of the content creator stations for this area. So I'm thinking this little skinny one that will line up nicely against the road here. Let's just shift that over so it's slightly more in the middle. We've got a little bit of room to play with either side, I think is nice there. And then we'll go back to our metro lines and just complete this track. Okay, so we've got metro coming down to there, and then let's check our line. So we've got this blue line that is coming in from the Okie Dokie Loki Wildlife Park. So I think what we will do is just extend this all the way down to our new complex here. And then of course we'll remember to put in our lines this side, which means that actually we've only got one platform that is not being used in our main metro transit hub, and it is insanely busy here. 2,936 people a week. It's chaos. It's absolute chaos in our metro hub here. I mean, it's just a constant flow of pink tourists coming through it, which is pretty incredible to see. We get these little influxes from the station and they flood all across this bridge out to the monorail station, which actually runs nicely through these little doors in this building here. People go to and from the metro station. We also have the tram hub here as well, which we will just bring down in just a second. But this is a massive, wow, just super busy transit hub right here, working really nicely for the city. And actually when we look at the lines as well, we don't have too many people. Well, I say not too many people. I thought 300 and something then, but it has just disappeared. Yeah, there's not too many people waiting at any one time. So it is just super busy, but efficient. So now coming on to our trams as well, let's go ahead and add in another stop in the unused tram stop there. And then what we will do is just bring it straight down, and I'm actually going to make one stop. I think we'll make it this side for now, but we might move that when we put in the road network. And then I think we'll make a stop right outside the front of our main complex here. Bring it around this side, we'll make a stop next to the entrance here, and then just one more up by the nanotechnology park. And we'll make sure we've got walking connections to get easily to and from these stops as they come round. And then what we will do is just bring it back in a circle back into the main transit hub here. Just like that. So let's just check what we've got. We've got 9 vehicles on the line, which feels like way too many. So let's just drop that back down to 6. And we'll also change our colour to... let's go for red. And we'll call this tram line Silicon Valley Line. Okay, so that now gives us a few different public transit options for getting out to this complex and for people that live here, getting back to the main downtown as well. Now what we will do, yeah, like I mentioned, is put in crossings with walkways through here. So we've got this absolute perfect opportunity for pathway through to the middle, and we will be doing a park area out here as well. So hopefully that'll increase people's want to travel down our little path and walk through all of our different walkways through this building, which will be nice to see. So we'll add those in the detail and time lapse. But for now, what I would like to do is just turn my attention to this little corner here. And what we're going to do here is put in quite a bit of industry actually, and a couple of our unique factories ready for when we've got farming and forestry industry in. So the 2 unique factories that I want to use, one of them is one that we haven't placed yet, which is the soft paper factory. Now this is a big one. It is a large factory, but I think it will go really nicely on this waterfront, particularly when we consider that we got the port right next to it as well. So let's just place that in here for now. And what we want is this really nice and up close to the edge of the quay here. So as close as we can get it, really. So we could actually bring that right out. So that building is literally on the edge of the quay there. Although we have got this, we might want to be a little bit wary of. So let's just put it back just a tiny touch. I think that will do nicely there. We've got this asset. The other one that I do want to put in here is one that we used in the movie studio. Now this is not going to be functional in the movie studio, so I'm more than happy to copy it and we can make the one over here functional, which makes a bit more sense being close to the port, easier road access out onto the highway there, and yeah, lots of import exports going on over here with all the different resources that they are going to need. So I think this position makes a bit more sense for our functioning sneaker factory. And also, again, it looks quite good. The medium to low height building, which complements all of our residential over here quite nicely. And it's also like, yeah, pretty bulky up the side. I mean, we've got that way too close to the road, I am seeing now. So let's just get this and we will just move it over a couple of notches there. So it's a little bit further away. And I think we can make it so this corner is right on the edge. And probably what I think I will do here as well is actually just get this back corner, which I don't think matters too much. But if we find the piece of industrial fence, that is literally this tiny little piece of back corner here, which is this one. And what I am going to do is just remove that so that we can then in the detailing bring this fence all the way up alongside. So we'll just go ahead and do that now. We'll find our industrial fence in Find It. And here it is. And then we will use Propline tool just to put this in really nicely along this edge. Now that is actually going the wrong way. So we want to have the spikes facing the same way as the actual complex itself. Would make a lot more sense. So we'll do it this way. And then we'll just bring it in to meet that other piece of fence there like that. And then what that gives us is the opportunity to do a really nice yard out the back here. Although there's not really much access, so what we can do as well is incorporate a little gate into it, which we can do here. So if you search by gate, there is this one, which complements the industrial fencing quite nicely. So we can add that in just there, and then we'll go back to our industrial fence. And what we'll do with Propline tool is just continue that on this way, all the way down actually to this point, where we will bring it up to meet the complex, because we then have this little entrance in here, which again, when it comes to detailing, we can detail that up really easily. So if we just use our brush tool for this, what we can do is extend the concrete down to the pavement there, so that it starts to look like its whole own entrance and little pedestrian entrance to the side of the sneaker factory there. And then obviously this gives us really nice detailing opportunities this side. So now the other thing that I do want in this complex is actually one of the monuments, and that is the ultimate recycling plant. So let's just go ahead and place it in there. And then what I'm going to do with this is actually sort of try and make it look a little bit like it's part of the soft paper factory, because it's got a very similar vibe to it. If we just have a look, kind of blocky, very similar colours as well. You might need to spin the sun round so that you can see that, but the yellow versus the green there. There's a little bit of green on the soft paper factory there too. Similar, just one small thin chimney sticking out of it too. So I think it complements the soft paper factory really quite nicely. And again, this is the type of thing that we want, is some of these heavier industrial vibes sitting right in front of the port here. And also what it means is from our port as well, we've got a little bit more industry sitting in front of the downtown, which I think is a nice viewpoint. And also as well, let's just admire our Silicon Valley build too, because I think again, it's a nice kind of layer of height building up to that downtown. So we will have more high rises in these areas, certainly building up that height from this level right up into the big skyscrapers in the centre there. So now with this recycling plant, what I want is to make sure that we've got enough room here to bring down a very small alleyway. So if we just grab our industrial 1 unit road for this, what we will do is grab that and bring that in through here, and we can use Move It just to adjust this in a second. We're going to bring it round the edge of this building, and that did not go in at all. And of course we seem to have put it in underground, and it took me a while to actually figure that one out. I have no idea how that's happened. I think we were just putting in the metro not that long ago. So let's just delete those out and we'll start again. So let's grab our 1 unit road. If we hit home now, it will bring us back to surface level. And then what we can do is bring this down through this alleyway here, down the side, and then across this way. And that is exactly the type of effect that we want, is this fencing on both sides. What we can do now is just use Move It just to move this up a little bit so that fencing aligns nicely with the pavement on that road. So we get this really narrow alleyway coming all the way through the complex and round to the back. And then what we're going to put out here actually is a few warehouses. So I think we can just about fit a medium warehouse. So let's just plop that down over here where we can for the moment. And we'll get this in. So again, I'm thinking that this one would be nice situated right on this corner. And I've no idea what's going on with the keys here. Kind of interesting. I think, yeah, we'll plop this so that fencing is right on the corner there. And then we will actually grab another medium warehouse, and let's just plop this in this side where I think it will just about fit. We'll line that fencing up to the back, and we can have it so that, yeah, that building is almost merged into the side of the soft paper factory there. Which again does give enough room for vehicles to get out the back, and again gives us really nice detailing opportunities to fill this out with some warehouse, yard, cargo and the such like. So just thinking about main road connections here, let's go back to our industrial road and we will bring out a connection just on this corner. Will do nicely. So we'll bring that out straight up like so. And then we can use the 1 unit road to shape out some different road layouts here. So I think we'll go straight on like this, and we will also bring one in and round this way. And actually what I'm thinking here we could use instead is our pavement concrete road, which will look like a nice connection to there and also that way, and then we can focus the attention going more towards this way. And so then again we can just bring this road out in front of this, not like that. Let's just make sure that that is snapping to the ground, and we'll bring that back a bit because it definitely doesn't need to be that long. And then that means that all of our factories are connected up. We do just need to loop the road network round this side as well. So what I will do is continue to follow this quite closely. Now we do have an overhanging chimney stack there, so let's just be wary of that. And we'll bring it out and round like so. And I think actually here as well we will convert it into that pavement road so that it blends in really nicely there. So that gives us our main frame of our industry area, and what we do need to do is just turn these off because we don't have any crops of paper as of yet. We've only got the petroleum and plastics. So we will need to sort that. And what I will do is set these up already with petroleum and plastics, because we know we have got those. So we can start to fill up these warehouses while we wait for the other resources. But it does mean we do need 2 more warehouses down here for crops and for paper. For crops, we do need the farming industry actually in, because what we need to put in is a couple of silos for this. So we'll just place in the silos and the additional warehouse for the paper when we come to do the detail and time lapse. Once I know what other assets are going to be in here, I'll come through and put a little bit more generic industry just to fill out this space and make it feel a little bit more heavy industry and less space and open space. We'll have some car parks out the front here for the workers as well. But that should do nicely. And yeah, I think it does give us this nice framing in front of the downtown there, building up those layers of height and kind of transitioning as well into industry as we go towards our ports over here too. So what that leaves me with is, again, an awful lot of detailing in here. So we will come around with our car parking designs here. Lots of parks and open space, but heavily designed and landscaped parks. We won't just be plopping generic ones. We'll be trying to do some clever stuff with pathways to make it look pretty. Lots of tiling as well to decorate that up and make it look like enjoyable and well planned out spaces that could be made by really rich tech companies. That's the type of vibe that we want to go for there. We'll obviously add in more industry around here and more car parks and make it feel a little bit more industrial. Lots of props as always. So with that, I'll jump into a detail and time lapse and I'll be right back. Okay, so a lot of that detailing you would not have seen during the detail and time lapse, as pretty much always I overestimated how much work there was to be done, so I could not fit it all into a decent sized time lapse within the episode. So I'll actually start off on the areas that you won't have seen. So down this end we have just come in with some natural riverbed, oceanfront, Auridon, classic natural detailing, if we can say that. Down here I've actually added in a little orange grove here, one of the nature reserve assets, just to try and encourage people down this way, but we have just put in our own benches, our own street lighting, a little bit of hedging just to line that off. Fenced in the whole area as well so that it feels nice and finished around the edges. And then as we come around this way, what I have done here is tried to design a little park type garden like one of the ones that we saw on Google Earth. So we have just got benches here, which actually, the viewpoint of these would be really quite nice, just looking out onto the islands, out to the ocean. And you can look across to the end of the port over there as well. So yeah, I feel like it's quite a nice little sitting viewpoint down in this little park area. And we have just dropped in a couple of gazebos as well, again to try and encourage people to use these path networks and to come down into this area. All in all, I think that came together quite nicely as a bit of decoration around the nano plant here. And then at the front as well, I have just added in a little billboard to kind of signify the importance of whatever tech company owns this plot of land with their own orange grove as well in there. And of course we have used IMT to add fences and hedges actually along all of the sides along this road as well, which is pretty useful and a much quicker way of doing it. So I'm loving that new feature. And then over in this massive now residential block, because we recode it all out, I have just added in a little playground down here. We then do have this waterfront pathway, which actually, again, like the views down here are actually really nice. Let's just see if we can get a little first person with this guy going on. As you can see, the path is slightly sunken next to the canal wall there, which I think quite nice. And of course, he's going to turn up that way into what looked like a massive cliff. Okay, we need to rectify that. And so there we go. That's a little bit better. Just swapped it out for a little bit of park life path there so it conforms to the terrain. But yeah, really nice little waterfront path here, looking out over onto the downtown, and we'll look out onto the hilly nature reserve over here and more residential, which will line this waterfront over this side as well. And then as we come in along the back side of these houses here, I've just added in a couple of benches and a few lights just to finish off that little strip there. And then I have put in a path over the canal here, and I have actually put in gateless entrances on either end. So this is actually operating as a park life cheese at the moment, although it's not bringing in huge amounts of money just yet. There seems to be an awful lot of people gathering there waiting for taxis. I have no idea what they're doing, but there is far too many dogs and dancing little girls packed into that group for my liking. And then round the front of here, we've just added in a few little benches out the front, some nice little gardens with hedge walls, just a singular tree in each to kind of give it a bit of focal point. Added in this little bit with the pathway running through, which people do actually walk through, which is quite cute to see. A couple of little benches in there. Again, more of the same here. Benches out the front, little dog park there. And then again, down this side, we have just got picnic benches running up this end to give the residents a little place to sit. I have actually chucked in a taxi depot here as well, added in a little entrance for it, because seeing that group standing over there, we are still in desperate need of taxis, it would seem. And this car is flying across the canal. Good for you, good for you. But yeah, I think all in all, this section has come together quite nicely. And then as we go on over to the main Googleplex, Auriplex, maybe? Give me your name suggestions in the comments. Complex. Then here, yeah, we have just lined this road with little street trees, which I think when we come down to street level is really cute as we come down here. Gives a nice entrance effect into the complex. And lots of hedging just to finish off these areas. Lots of street trees as well to decorate out some of the concrete around the complex. And then another little waterfront pathway here, which actually leads through into this back door here. So occasionally we do get a couple of people walking along that, which is quite nice to see. In the middle of the complex, I've just added in a few decorative planters, some tables and tree areas like this for relaxing, and another little kind of path design here with some benches in the middle of it and a couple of little street trees just to decorate that up. But overall, I think it's looking quite nice from ground level. Lots of places for people to sit and congregate. More tables over here. And then of course I have added in path networks, so people are now walking through all of these little tunnels. So we go through here, they can actually walk all the way through and down into this little area where we have done a bit of tiling detailing around the fountain there. Added in lots of little restaurant tables, imagining these are little places that they can eat or do whatever it is that they need to go to the gym, the laundromat, whatever else is at Googleplex or Auridon as it will now be known. But yeah, again, I think this is looking really rather nice. So yeah, people flood off the tram here. We can wait and see them. They come down this zebra crossing and then straight through the tunnel into the main complex that way, which I absolutely love. It's great seeing that flow of people going down there. And at least some of them might actually go down there rather than turning left here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. But yeah, again, I think overall this little area has come together quite nicely as a kind of interpretation on Googleplex. And then coming over here, we've added in our car parking designs all the way around. We've made some bespoke hedgerows, very similar to what we did in the amusement park and around the ugly waterfront as well, which I think just really helps to give this a nice vibe about it. Got lots of planters with benches and trees amongst it. Lots of open green space around here as well, lined with our normal Auridon tree brush, but lots of open spaces for people to enjoy, which I think was necessary. You don't just want to fill everything with trees all the time. We do have a couple of walking path options over the bridge here for people to choose should they so wish. And for some reason this path popped up in the middle of this asset and I cannot get rid of it, so I've turned it into an actual walking bridge for people, but it's not ideal. I'm going to see if I can work on that off camera. A little tennis court here, more picnic table areas, and there's flying cars. The cars are just flying literally everywhere in Auridon at the moment. Little play park here as well. But yeah, liking how this car parking design has turned out. And then of course actually in the middle as well we've got this central plaza, so we've got this nice marble tiling, or white tiling at least, flowing up to the main door of that one. The planter patterns all around it, and then this little statue in the roundabout as the entrance, which I think comes together pretty nicely. And actually when people walk in from the tram stop here, they walk in down this path through this little fountain plaza here as well and up to the statue around the roundabout and onwards. So yeah, again, I think that all came together nicely. Again, this car park taking inspiration from what we saw on Google Earth in that complex next to Googleplex. And then if we come on down to the industrial area, yeah, we've just added in a police station, fire station and a little recycling centre here. Just extended out the police station, but added in a couple of car parking lots and of course added in our police car props as per normal. Finishing all that all off with a bit of fencing. Did put a sign at the front of the centre here, which I thought was quite a nice touch next to our fire station. Little touches of overgrowth around the complex as well, and then we've just added in a little prop yard here, a couple of actual 1x1 generic industry assets as well, which I thought finished that off quite nicely. A couple of little tables with actually some sitting sims around the back of this car park, as I thought a little place that the workers could go and hang out at the back of the car park. Not very exciting, but gives them an option. And then a little bit of overgrown area down the back here. Of course, everything finished off with a kind of chain link fence or a version of that along the water's edge, which I think gives it a nice finish. Then we've got this necessary storage down this side for what the soft paper factory and the sneaker factory, the two unique factories that we put in, need. And they do need crops, so we've got the silos there for that. Just one generic industry building, which I thought fitted quite nicely here with the chimneys. And then, yeah, warehouse yards, more storage here. And what we've tried to do at the back here is kind of make this appear like it's one complex. So we have chain link fenced all of the area in. We've added in lots of containers around the back of this one, different trucks and that sort of thing dotted around as well, as you can see here. And then more containers and trucks at the back over here, a little bit of rubbish and a touch of other props here and there. And of course we've used the stain decal over the whole thing just to rough up that concrete texture a little bit, which I think makes it feel a bit more realistic. But yeah, pleased with how that's come together. Of course we've got this other yard here next to the sneaker factory and up against the road, which actually cars are turning around it, which I didn't realise I could do. I might need to adjust that truck back a little bit. Yeah, we've got lots of storage and rubbish and things like that of this side, and then quite a nice little entrance here for people coming in off the tram that they can go in through the side route into the sneaker factory. But yeah, that is it. But actually, it was quite a large area that we have filled in this episode, granted with a lot of large buildings, but lots of intricate detailing around it, which I hope you guys have enjoyed. And there are some really nice little viewpoints developing here. So like here from the port, it gives a nice framing to the front of the downtown here, and we'll have more layers of height going on behind it as we build out these remaining areas of the downtown. And then we do also have, as we come over this bridge, I'm absolutely loving this view. As we come down here, we've got this sneaky peek of the port as we come down this road, which I just really love. All those big red cranes, and then the other prop cranes as well that we've put in, really accentuating that skyline down towards the port. So yeah, looking across there, really pleased with how that's come together. So for today, that is going to be it. If you have enjoyed the video, a like below is as always really appreciated and really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. Also drop me a comment as well, let me know your name suggestions for any one of these little areas. It could be just one massive area, Silicon Valley type area, or it could be different ones. I guess the industrial area is pretty separate to the rest of the sort of high-tech area. And if you did want to pick up that high-tech content creator pack as well, do check out my Instant Gaming link below for some cheat codes for those different Cities Skylines DLCs. But do stick around for the cinematics, but that is all from me for now. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will catch you next time. Bye bye.